Reading.
Call on Government Order of the Day number 8.
Trade Safeguard Measures Bill, second reading.
The Honourable John Banks.
Mr Speaker, I couldn't help but notice that this particular bill, the Trade Safeguard Measures Bill, was referred to the Select Committee on the 11th of March 2009, and little would the members of that committee, chaired by the first-class Member of Parliament, John Hayes, would have appreciated that some 3 years later I would be in the House promoting this bill. Now,
Order. I'm sorry. The Minister must move that the bill be read a second time.
Oh, yeah, well, I moved the bill be read a second time.
Okay. The formalities must be, the protocol must be that when the Minister starts to move, it read a second time. So I'll ask the Minister might like to start again. I'll start the clock again so we get it right.
Oh, that's very
the Honourable John Banks.
I'd move the bill be read a second time. Mr Speaker, 2009, some time ago, but this is an important bill, and the closing date for submissions was the 14th of April 2009, and we're now in March 2012. So the National Party have been waiting for me to arrive via the people of Epsom for all of these years to see this bill, can do Banksy, to see this bill promoted in this Parliament tonight, because it's a critical piece of legislation, particularly for the productive, tradable sector of the New Zealand economy. And I want to thank John Hayes, the chairman of that committee at the time, for the great stewardship of this bill. On the introduction, the front cover of the Trade Safeguards Measures Bill, Mr Speaker, it says here, the Trade Safeguards Measures Bill seeks to repeal the Temporary Safeguards Authorities Act of 1987, and I was in the Parliament in 1987 when that bill was passed through with much more urgency. It had only been 5 years in the making, not 4. So this bill is well overdue, and to implement a new safeguard regime for New Zealand that is consistent with the World Trade Organisation's rules and promotes efficient, transparent and objective investigative and decision-making process for safeguards. And in case people don't quite know what safeguards are, they're emergency measures applied at the New Zealand border to make sure that any duty and any other facilitation by domestic industry to competition from increased imports is well and truly looked after. This country doesn't mind competitive trading, but it doesn't like unfair trading, and in the context of this bill and in the context of the trade agreements that this country is entering into all over the place, Mr Speaker, it is important that this measure comes through the Parliament. What I was going to say about the bill, Mr Speaker, is something rather significant, and that is this. It repeals the Temporary Safeguards Authorities Act. Safeguards are emergency measures applied at the New Zealand border. The bill proposes 4 major changes to New Zealand's safeguards regime, and they are quite technical, and they need to be narrated here tonight on the Parliament for the record. Firstly, safeguard investigations will be undertaken by the Ministry of Economic Development rather than by appointed temporary safeguard authorities, and I think that is important, and that's helped streamline these measures. This will align the conduct of safeguard investigations with other trade remedy investigations which are carried out by that ministry, that is the Ministry of Economic Development. It will also allow expertise of the ministry to be fully utilised when carrying out safeguard investigations to make sure and to ensure the efficient use of resources. Secondly, the time frame to complete an investigation will be extended from the present 30 working days to 75 working days or 85 working days if provisional duties are requested at the border. The extension of the time frame also allows sufficient time to undertake a high-quality investigation to make sure that fairness is delivered. This will reduce the risk of any safeguard measure taken by New Zealand being overturned through the World Trade Organisation dispute settlement process, and we've seen that worked against sovereign states on many, many occasions to the detriment of that country. Thirdly, the Minister of Commerce will be authorised to impose a provisional safeguard duty in order to provide protection to a domestic industry while investigation is being completed. And I think that mechanism is also very useful and serves as a deterrent to unfair traders, that at the border we've got aligned mechanisms in place for dealing with unfair competition at the border before the arrival, with money being put up front so that that is secured. The ability of the Minister to impose a provisional duty will also allow swift action to be taken where necessary, and will ensure that an industry is not disadvantaged by the extension of the time frame to complete a complex negotiation and investigation. So the Minister of Commerce will be authorised to impose a final safeguard duty to allow a quick and efficient means for taking safeguard action at the border. Lastly, as a trading nation, this is important, the bill introduces guidelines for determining whether the imposition of a safeguard measure is in the public interest. The bill also includes a number of technical matters aimed at improving the efficiency of applications and investigation processes and ensuring conformity with World Trade Organisation rules. And as we go forward negotiating more free trade agreements with other sovereign states, we need to have these World Trade Organisation rules absolutely aligned, so that there is no opportunity for going out to the World Trade Organisation and having one of these overturned. The ACT Party believes that the more we can liberate trade between our nation and the rest of the world, the more our exporters will flourish, and exports are the key to this country's future, particularly farming exports. The World Trade Organisation leads the way in promoting multilateral free trade, and it's in our interest to ensure our legislation aligns with their rules, and this is what that does. Following the first reading of the bill, the Foreign Affairs, Defence and Trade Select Committee has recommended a number of amendments, and these amendments do not alter the original policy intention outlined in the philosophy statement on the front page of the bill. These amendments simply strengthen and clarify the bill. Overall, submitters were supportive of the bill and recommended that it proceed. And if I remember rightly, Mr. Speaker, there were 5 submitters. And why it's taken 4 years to come through this House, and why you've waited for the new member for Epsom to be driving it, I don't know. I would like now to outline the most significant changes recommended by the committee. The committee has recommended the inclusion of an overview clause to explain that safeguard measures are one of several trade remedies available, and to explain the difference between them. This is a useful addition to the bill and will assist in guiding potential users to the most appropriate form of remedy. Fast tracks remedies. The committee identified a number of provisions in the bill which granted the Minister of Commerce the discretion to exercise power. And by the way, Mr. Speaker, I'm enjoying working with the new Minister of Commerce. He's well over these issues. He clearly understands the importance of them and has given me the opportunity to move things along with my portfolio responsibilities around commerce. Terminating or reducing a provisional and final safeguard duty, that's what it includes. That's the powers the Minister is given. Refunding provisional duties and exempting certain countries from safeguard measures. The bill included in the definition of safeguard measure any other action the Minister considers appropriate. So the Minister in this context is very important, and this bill does give the Minister of Commerce quite a lot of authority, both legal and moral authority, and the new legal authorities is defined by the bill, which updates the 87 bill, which was simply inadequate in circa 2012 in protecting New Zealand industry and commerce against unfair competition and delivered remedies at the border. This is what this bill does. And I congratulate the Select Committee. It's not riveting stuff for the Select Committee, but it's important stuff to the future of this nation. So I'd like to note that the Committee of the Whole of the House I will be authorising a supplementary order paper to make minor technical amendments to the bill as recommended by Parliamentary Council. Finally, I'd like to again thank the members of the committee for their thorough examination of this bill. It's well designed. The trade policies allow New Zealand firms to operate in a more predictable environment. These policies play an important role in providing New Zealand industries with confidence to invest, confidence to grow, confidence to employ people, and more importantly, confidence that they can compete on the world stage that is uncompetitive by some trading nations that would otherwise take advantage of this small state. And that's what this bill does. It aligns all of the protocols with the World Trade Organisation rules. I recommend the bill to the House, Mr. Speaker, to be read a second time.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Thank you, Mr.